The very air seems to thicken with dread. I find myself compelled to recount a tale that has haunted my waking hours and plagued my fitful slumbers. Dear reader, I implore you to steel your nerves, for what follows is not for the faint of heart, nor those who cherish the comforting illusion of a rational world. It was upon the 13th day of October, a month when the veil between our realm and the unseen grows gossamer thin, that I first stumbled upon the accursed legend of the midnight elevator. A digital whisper, a dare passed from screen to screen in the darkest corners of the internet, promising a glimpse beyond the veil of reality for those bold or foolish enough to attempt its ritual. The rules were deceptively simple, etched in the cold glow of computer screens. Seek a building of no less than 10 stories. Enter its elevator alone as the clock strikes midnight, and press a specific sequence of buttons. 4th floor, 2nd, 6th, 2nd, again, 10th, and finally 5th. Should you follow these steps with unwavering precision, they say, a spectral woman may join you on your journey. Speak not a word, the warnings hissed. Cast not a glance in her direction. The final instruction, seemingly innocuous, concealed the true horror. Press the button for the ground floor. If the elevator ascends instead, you have crossed the threshold into a nightmare from which there may be no awakening. I, in my hubris and unquenchable thirst for the macabre, dismissed these cautions as mere fabrications designed to titillate bored minds. The world had grown dull, its mysteries laid bare by science and reason. I yearned for a taste of true terror, a validation that our reality was but a thin veneer over unfathomable depths. And so, on All Hallows' Eve, when the boundary between worlds grows most tenuous, I found myself standing before an abandoned office building. Its windows, like soulless eyes, stared down at me through a miasma of fog that clung to the streets like a funeral shroud. The edifice itself seemed to pulse with malevolent anticipation, as though aware of the folly I was about to commit. With trembling hands and a heart that thundered in my chest like a war drum, I entered the forsaken structure. The lobby, once a testament to corporate grandeur, now lay in decay, a mausoleum to forgotten ambitions. The elevator doors stood open, a maw of darkness beckoning me into its depths. As the hands of my pocket watch aligned at midnight, I stepped into the metal coffin and began the fateful sequence. 4.2.6, 2 once more, 10. The elevator groaned and shuddered with each floor, as if resisting the very act I was compelling it to perform. Then came the 5th floor. The doors parted with a sigh that seemed to emanate not from machinery, but from some vast, unseen presence. And there she stood. Her form was that of a woman, yet utterly wrong in ways that defy description. Skin pale as moonlight on bone, hanging loosely on a frame too angular to be human. Her dress, once white perhaps, now bore the stains and tatters of eons spent in some hellish realm. But it was her face, oh, her face, that nearly shattered my sanity then and there. Where I should have been, there were only shadows, writhing and pulsing like maggots beneath her lank, matted hair. Every fiber of my being screamed to flee, to cry out, to look away, but I remembered the warning. With a will I scarcely knew I possessed, I kept my gaze fixed ahead and my lips sealed. Though I tasted blood from biting them so fiercely, my finger, slick with cold sweat, pressed the button for the ground floor. For a moment, hope flared in my breast. Perhaps the ritual had failed. Perhaps I would be spared the horrors that awaited. But then, with a lurch that seemed to pull at my very soul, the elevator began to rise. The ascent was interminable, marked not by the usual mechanical whir, but by a silence so profound it pressed upon my eardrums like a physical force. We rose not by the power of cables and pulleys, but by the will of something far more ancient and terrible. When at last the doors opened, I found myself not in any floor of that accursed building, but in a place that could not exist. An endless corridor stretched before me, its walls a sickly yellow that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The carpet beneath my feet squelched with each step, and the air was thick with the stench of decay and lost hope. I had entered a realm beyond reason, a place whispered of in forbidden tomes and fevered nightmares. The backrooms, they call it, an infinite labyrinth of madness that exists in the spaces between reality. Time lost all meaning as I wandered those endless halls. My watch had stopped, its hands frozen at the moment of my transgression. I walked for what felt like days, weeks, perhaps even years, each corridor identical to the last, each turn bringing me no closer to escape. I saw things in that place, dear reader, that no mortal eyes were meant to witness. Shadows that moved of their own accord, always just at the edge of vision. Walls that bled a viscous ichor when touched. And worst of all, the remnants of those who had come before me, a shoe here, a scrap of clothing there, and once, to my eternal horror, a face pressed into the carpet fibers, its mouth forever frozen in a silent scream. But I was not alone in that nightmare realm. Something stalked me through those endless halls, its presence a constant weight upon my sanity. I heard its labored breathing, the drag of misshapen limbs against damp carpet. And always, always, it whispered in a voice that was at once the woman from the elevator and something far more ancient and malevolent. "You should not have looked," it hissed, its words burrowing into my mind like parasites. "You should not have come." In my desperation, I began to run, though in that place of twisted geometry, direction had no meaning. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs threatened to give way beneath me. And then, as if conjured by my very despair, I saw a door unlike any other in that forsaken place. It stood alone in the endless corridor, a wooden portal marked with the number 11 in what appeared to be freshly spilled blood. From behind it came a sound that chilled me to my very core, the laughter of a child, distorted and warped as if filtered through the static of a dead radio. With trembling hands, I grasped the handle and pulled. The door swung open to reveal the elevator pristine, untouched, a beacon of sanity in this realm of madness. I stumbled inside, tears of relief streaming down my face, and pressed the button for the ground floor. As the doors closed, sealing me off from that nightmare world, I dared to hope that my ordeal had ended. The elevator descended, each floor bringing me closer to the world I knew, to safety, to reason. But I was a fool to think I could escape so easily. I awoke on the sidewalk outside the abandoned building, the mundane sounds of the city a cacophony after the oppressive silence of the backrooms. At first, I believed it had all been a terrible dream, a product of an overactive imagination and too many late nights spent reading tales of the supernatural. Yet I soon discovered that my torment was far from over. Every elevator I enter now seems to harbor a malevolent intelligence. They stop at floors that do not exist, their lights flickering in patterns that speak of otherworldly geometries. Once, to my abject horror, the doors opened to reveal a glimpse of sickly yellow wallpaper before slamming shut once more. I know now that I will never truly be free. She waits for me still, that spectral woman on the 5th floor of every building, in the shadows that gather in the corners of my vision. I see her in my dreams, in the split second between blinks, always watching, always waiting. But the true horror, dear reader, the thing that drives me to the brink of madness is this. Sometimes, when I find myself alone in an elevator, my hand moves of its own accord. My fingers twitch and dance across the buttons, pressing out that accursed sequence, 4.2.2.2.2. I beg of you, should you ever find yourself tempted by tales of elevators that lead to other worlds, resist. For once that door is opened, it can never truly be closed again. And now, as I pen these final words, I hear the distant chime of an elevator arriving at my floor. The hour is late, the building empty save for myself. Yet I know, with a certainty that chills my blood, that when those doors open, I will not be alone. Forgive me, dear reader, for I fear I must answer its call.